Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Women of Golf Show. I'm Ted Odorico, and joining me is LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and we are your hosts. We're broadcasting live every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the blogtalkradio.com network, bringing you some of the best golfers, teacher professionals, and entrepreneurs helping to elevate women's golf. We're so glad you decided to join us this morning, so grab your coffee and let's get started. All right, thank you everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf Show. I'm Ted Odorico, and of course joining right alongside, and I'm glad to welcome her back, is LPGA professional and Legends Tour player Cindy Miller. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Ted. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Another beautiful sunny Tuesday morning. We've finally had some rain here in Florida. We've had a bit of a drought for the last month, so it was kind of nice to get a bit of a reprieve, but of course the hot, humid, and steamy weather is right back today, so but I'm not going to complain. Cindy, before we bring on our first guest this morning, we've got a great show. Actually, we've got a young lady who just won her very first professional event last weekend, the Four Winds Invitational, Perrine Delacour. She is a native of Paris, France. Before I get into all of that, and then a little bit later on, we're going to be joined by Paul Kaster, who was actually scheduled a little while back. He's the founder and owner of Paul Kaster Golf Coaching. Cindy, of course, you were off last week, so I was very impressed by your barrage of what you've been doing for the last week. So let the folks know just how busy of a girl you are.
Well, it started last Monday. I played in the Jim Kelly Invitational. Jim Kelly's the NFL Hall of Fame quarterback from the Buffalo Bills. I play in this tournament every single year. I am the token chick of the celebrity bunch that comes to play. David or Daniel Baldwin, a bunch of different football players and all this stuff are there. And what's his name? Oh, my God, I just went brain dead. Anyway, so lots of people play. And I had a great team from California there. The name of the company is Team Golf. And then I spoke. I was a keynote speaker at the Duval Safety Summit in Niagara Falls, which Duval Safety is a company that helps all kinds of businesses make sure that their employees are safe, like high-wire electrical people and big plants and all kinds of stuff. And then I got on a plane that afternoon and flew to Seattle, where I played in the Legends Cup at Suquamish Clearwater Resort in Seattle. And then I flew back and I drove to Turning Stone, which is in the middle of New York State, for the Independent Bankers of New York State, their national convention. And I played golf at Turning Stone yesterday and then did a keynote speech last night. And today I'm driving back to Buffalo and I'm teaching lessons for 9 hours nonstop. How you doing?
Wow. So in other words, it was a pretty light week for Cindy Miller.
Right? I looked at
wow.
him and go, we made it. So I didn't play very well. I still made money. I didn't finish last. But I have some issues that I have to fix with alignment, which your brain is so screwed up. My brain is so screwed up. Maybe not everybody's is, but
right.
You aim right, you look left, you pick it up, you come over the top, you miss it dead left, it kicks off the hill, it goes down into a pit, and you make double. It's like, oh, well, that was easy. How do we do that again on the next hole? So yesterday I was grateful that I got to be able to play, because it's like, well, wait a minute, I don't really swing that bad. What is the underlying issue? So
right.
That's my message of the week, is what's the underlying issue? What's lurking beneath the surface? Because nobody tries to miss it. There's always a why behind the what. So,
right, exactly.
There you go.
Well said. Yeah, well, welcome back. I'm always happy to have you here Tuesday mornings alongside. And as I've said many times, nobody spins plates better than Cindy Miller. She gets the job done, and she might fall asleep at the end of the week in extreme tiredness, but she'll get the job done in between. All right, so as I mentioned, Cindy, we got a great guest, a young lady starting off here the show this morning, Perrine Delacour. As I said, she won the 2019 Four Winds Invitational on the Symetra Tour. She's 25 and a native of Paris, France. And for those of you that follow soccer, know that France is hosting the World Cup right now. And I think Team USA, the women's Team USA, is doing quite well. So for those of you following soccer, you might want to check that out. She was a rookie both on the Symetra Tour and the LPGA Tour in 2013, but actually started playing golf at the age of 9. She's also a member of the French national team. She graduated from the Symetra Tour in 2013 thanks to 4 top 10 finishes to end the year at number 8 in the Volvic Race for the Card. A total of 68 starts on the LPGA Tour, entering in the 2019 season with career best finish of solo 4th at the 2015 Kingsmill Championship, and had a total 16 starts on the Symetra Tour entering this season with, up until now, her career best solo 2nd at the 2013 Symetra Tour Championship. But as I mentioned, she won this past weekend. Her career low of 10 under par 62 in the second round of the 2017 Manulife LPGA Classic. So very accomplished young lady, and I know she's very, very excited. So, Cindy, let's welcome our very special guest this morning, winner of the Four Winds Invitational, Perrine Delacour.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
How are you doing?
Good, and you?
Doing very well.
Where might you be today?
I don't think she heard you. Where
Perrine,
are you calling from,
Where
Perrine?
are you today?
I'm in Delacour for the next Symetra tournament.
Nice. Well, congratulations on your win. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Ted,
Very
go ahead.
Good. So Perrine, yes, again, congratulations on your win. I know this is your first professional win, and I watched a little snippet of an interview that you did with Zach Stepanek off the Symetra Tour, and you said that you were probably going to sleep with the trophy the first night. You were very, very excited. Did that happen?
I actually did not sleep with it, but he's staying near to me since Sunday. I just want to make sure I babysit him and make sure he's keeping with me.
Very, very good. Well, let's talk a little bit about the event, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of your daily and weekly routines. We'll do that a little bit later on. But first off, let's just talk about your win. You were actually leading in the final round, and then you made the turn and actually bogeyed number 11. Tell us a little bit from that point on until the end of the tournament, what sort of happened to spur that stretch of birdies that you carded?
So, yeah, I did bogey 11, so at that point I was not leading anymore. And then Jillian, the other girls I play with, I made a really good up and down on 14, and then at that hole she made a bogey. She missed 5-footer putt, not even 5, maybe 4-footer putt for par. And I made par, and then I was like, no, we were tied at 6 under. And then I made a really good putt, birdie putt on 15, I made 10 footers, and she missed her putt for birdie. And I was like, no, I'm leading, and I know 16 was a good hole, a good chance for birdie for me because it's a par 5. We could reach it if we make a good drive of the tee. And I hit a really good drive, and I had 8 iron into my hand to the pin, and I made I was 15 footer from the pin, and I just tapped in for birdie. And I was just keeping trying to be relaxed, but honestly it was hard because I knew I was leading the tournament by 2. So I was just trying my best to finish as strong as I can.
Right, and then you went on actually on number 17 as well. You also made a birdie, so you birdied 15, 16, and 17, and then you finished up with a nice solid par, number 18, to secure the lead, or to secure the win rather. So obviously you were able to turn it around after making that bogey on number 11. Were you pretty comfortable throughout the tournament, do you think? Did you feel confident in your game?
Well, I don't know if you take a look at the score, but after the first one, I was not even like in the cut line. I was 3 over. But I knew like on Friday I was playing good, but I was just not patient on the course because I've been playing every tournament since like this stretch. So it was 8 tournaments, so that was my 5th one. So I was pretty like not patient, but I'm like on Saturday I just told myself just be patient and enjoying the moment and everything. And of course it was way easier because everything was going in the right way. So it's easier to be patient that way. And then, but my game was pretty good. Even on Friday when I shot 3 over, I was not like playing terrible. So I was not like really stressed about my game.
Right. What would you say is the strongest area of your game?
Well, right now it's my driving. I'm hitting I always have a good driving, but like I'm pretty much making not missing a lot of drives, so that helped me a lot, especially last week, because some of the holes you needed to make sure you can hit the drive and then not missing to one side, like, because the ref was really thin, so it was hard to like just hitting into it. So I'm just like, I was pretty good with my driving.
Right. So obviously, as we all know, it's important to have a good shot off the tee. Cindy, go ahead. I'll let you pick up from here.
So let me ask you, how did you stay patient when you were 3 over par and not freak out? What was it that helped you, I guess, stay focused on the task at hand and not worry about what you were shooting?
So when I was I was 3 over the first day after 14, and then the last 4 holes I shot 1 under, and I was like, it was a good way. Like I was like, you just be patient, just enjoy, and then make as much birdie as you can. And on Saturday I was like just patient, and at some point I was not even sure if I shot like 5, 6, 7, or 8 under because it was just like. Just one shot at a time. I was not like even thinking about the future, nothing.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. How long did it take you to learn that mindset of stay focused on the task at hand, in the present moment, no past, no future? I mean, for someone who's not that old, you're very mature. And I teach a lot of kids, and I have them listen to the program so that they can learn from all of you great players. So what would you tell someone who's always worried about what they shoot and has trouble staying in the present moment?
Well, it's hard, I can tell you, because even when last week when I was leading on 16, I was already like thinking, who I should stay, like on my, like at the end and everything. But I'm like, the hardest part is when you think about it, you need to know like, right now I'm thinking about the future, and you need to put yourself back in the present, where for me, I'm just like breathing, like just looking, like just enjoy and not thinking about everything else, just thinking about like, pay attention to how I walk, how I like do everything, and just like thinking about the right now.
Awesome.
Very good.
Ted?
Yep, very good. Perrine, let me ask you something about, just to sort of follow up on that. Would you consider yourself to be a very, I'm trying to think of somebody that you would maybe be familiar with to compare it to, but on the men's side, somebody like an Ernie Els, who's a very sort of I don't want to say a slow player, but has a very a slower cadence, not a very fast-paced player. Are you someone that plays somewhat like an Ernie Els, that type of cadence, or are you a little bit faster player where you are quick and in your pace and your swing? What type of a player would you categorize yourself?
So I'm playing fast. I mean, when I say playing fast is I got the yardage, I pick the club, and it's either going to be good or bad. So I'm not like thinking about so many times. I'm like pick the club, and it's like, okay, it's either going to be the good one or the bad one, but just try to hit it. But I'm just taking time for like the pre-shot routine. So yeah, I'm taking a little bit of time, but I'm usually one of the fastest, and I'm always asking the girls on the tour, is like, hey, are you guys okay for ready golf? Because I hate waiting. It's just like drives me crazy. I'm terrible when it's slow play. I'm playing like terrible.
Well, that was going to lead to my next question, and the reason why I asked you that one first is I wanted to get an idea of the pace of play that you have. So if you're in a tournament situation, Perrine, and let's say your playing partner is a very slow, sort of methodical type player, does that sometimes throw you off your game having to wait for that player?
Well, usually what I say to that player is always, oh, are you guys okay for ready golf? And they usually say yes. So I'm just hitting before her and then before out of her turn, because I'm just driving, go straight to my ball, make my yardage. And if she's not ready, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to go, I'm ready, and I just go hit it.
Right.
Good for you.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, and that's important, Cindy, because for a player that has that sort of a mindset, if you're going into a round, the worst thing you can do is let the other player, because they're obviously, everybody plays differently, to throw you off your game. So it's good, Perrine, that you do that. We want to talk to you a little bit about, maybe a little bit of your daily and even and or weekly routines, if you will, just to let the listeners get an idea of some of the things that you do to prepare. So obviously, is nutrition and fitness important to you? Or are you somebody that watches what you eat and exercises fairly regularly to keep yourself in shape for playing?
Actually, so during season, it's hard for me to just keeping in the daily routine for workout, because I'm getting tired and everything. So during the season, I'm just taking more self about the rest and make sure I'm fresh for the tournament, instead of just working out in a program and then just kill myself. So right now, I'm not one of those girls working out every day. I'm probably working out once a week, but I do care about the rest a lot, and I do care about what I'm hitting. I'm not I'm always being care about what I'm making in my body, and then make sure I'm not putting bad food into it.
Right. You're obviously conscious about what you eat and feed your body, because obviously you have to have stamina out in the golf course, and if you're eating something with high sugars and starches in it, obviously it's going to make you crash a little bit through your round. So getting good rest so it's very interesting.
But I've been like that. I've been like that since a couple of years. I know high sugar is not good. I know a lot of people doesn't know, but when you eat banana on the course when it's hot, it's not really good too. So I've been really cautious about that.
So what do you?
And that's interesting. Yeah.
I usually hit a cereal bar, protein bar, maybe 1 or 2 max, and then just drink a lot of water.
Awesome.
Very good. What about, Perrine, what about on the range, when you go to the range, not before a round, but during a practice session? Let's start there first. What do you like to work on? What's important for you to work on? And how do you prioritize your time?
So actually, let's say during season, on Tuesday I usually do a practice round, but usually I'm more working on my short game and putting that day, and then on Wednesday I usually work on a little bit of my swing, but I do just a drill, just a normal drill, used to drill, drill where I work with my coach, but not for a long time, to not be too much in the technique, because I'm a really field player, and I don't want to be in the technique, so I'm just feeling it, and then just work on the basic, which is grip, closer to the ball, and tempo, and that's all, because if everything worked pretty good for me, it's going to be good. So I just do that, but not for a long time. I think for an hour and a half. But then I spend almost 2 hours on the chipping greens, and then I putt it also. So for me, it's more short game.
Right. And
I don't really
it's interesting, Cindy.
I don't really like to be on. I don't really like to be on the range, like eating bowls for like 3 hours. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, I kind of sense that, and that's unfortunately, Cindy, I think what a lot of our amateurs do is they spend a lot of time on the range, not practicing the things they should be, but just sort of beating balls for a couple of hours, and it's not very productive. Cindy, go ahead. You can pick up here.
So if you were going to have, like today's Tuesday, you have a day off, it's a practice day, what would your typical day look like?
So typical day, I usually, well, not today, but I usually play early in the morning, the practice room, so I avoid the wait in the 6 hours practice room, so that don't drive me crazy. So I usually play around like 7:30, do my like round, and then have lunch, and then just putt it, like make sure I have the speed on the green and work on my putting technique. And then I just go rest, and then we have the prom party later in the day. But I don't hit balls on that day. And then on Wednesday, it depends if I'm in a prom on Wednesday or Thursday. But let's say this week I'm on Thursday. So tomorrow I'm just going to practice like my chipping and then my putting and a little bit of my swing, but not too much. And then I'm just going to rest and go work out on that day because it's kind of a day off for me, just practice, so I have time to work out. And then on Thursday, since I'm playing in the prom in the afternoon, in the morning, I probably going to try to sleep in, and then just work on my putting again, and then play the prom. And usually after the prom, that's where I make the drill and make sure I have this drill, like, to have the feeling and then just remind me before the tournament.
Awesome. So you only play on Tuesday and then the Pro-Am round?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Go ahead, Cindy.
When you say you do the drills, what would the drills be?
So I put like a head cover under my right arms, and then I just make sure I keep it on the top of my backswing all the way until the finish. So I turn in more because I have a tendency to flip my hands. So then with that drill, I work more with my body and turn more into it.
Got it. And who are your coaches?
I started working with Chris Mason in last November. Nice.
Can you tell us a little bit about the French national team? How old were you when you were asked to be on that team?
Well, you can be as young as you can, as long as you're good. So I started to be on that team when I was 13. I played the European Team Championship that time, and I don't think so we finished really good. And then I didn't make it in when I was 14, and I played again when I was 15, and that's where we won as a team. So it's really good, like, memories because we're traveling as 6 players and 2 staff, so we had a lot of memory about that. That was like really good golf time and moment time.
That's great. Now, do you know Anne-Marie Pauly?
Yeah, I know her a little bit. When we had the tournament in Phoenix, she's always coming to see us. So that's how I met her.
Awesome.
She's a really good player and really nice person.
Yes, she is. I played on the tour with her. In fact, we got our LPGA tour cards at the same qualifying school. Small world.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ted.
Very good. Let me just ask you in closing just a couple of quick questions, Perrine, and then we'll let you go because we know you've got things to do today. Obviously, you need to find a balance in your life. Obviously, golf is important to you, but also family and friends. How do you find that balance, traveling a lot as much as you do with tour life?
It's not easy all the time, but I got lucky to have my family support me really good. So I'm just like calling them when I need it and just try to spend as much time as I can, but I know during the season it's hard. So I'm usually saw them like once or twice a year, so it's not enough for me. But I'm just like, I know I'm here for work, so I'm just trying to be focused on my work. And I got a lot of friends on the tour, so they help me to be focused. And I got a really good friend in Orlando where I'm living, so it's hard, but I still get it really good. So I'm good for now.
That's
Awesome.
good. Well, now's the time when you're young like this to be able to do the traveling and really play, get the competitive golf going in that, which you have been doing. And again, congratulations on your win. And obviously, with technology today, it's easy to communicate anywhere around the world through different social media and that as well with friends when you're not able to see them face to face. So obviously that's important. You have to find balance. Final question I want to ask you, and I think this will be something that will really help some of the listeners out there, because golf is, as you know, Perrine and Cindy, is a very difficult game, and we're not always going to win everything and always be able to play our best, and there's going to be some disappointments. How do you handle your disappointments in golf?
Well, you need to accept it first. So some of the players are going to take longer than others. But when you're going to accept it, you need to learn what would you miss it, like why you missed that tournament or why you missed this course or what. And then from there, you practice to get better. So for me, I'm just practicing every day to get better from like the day before. Even on Sunday, I got better Sunday than Saturday. Every day for me, it's a new day. It's a new opportunity to get better. So I'm just trying my best to just learn more about myself and get better.
Right. Would you say in closing, Perrine, that the key element to handling disappointment is to always make sure that you learn from that experience, good or bad?
It's to learn to accept and then just to move on. Because if you learn but you don't accept, you're never gonna get better. But if you accept it, you learn, what was wrong, and you accept it. So that means in your mind and your body, you're ready to make a move.
Right. Well said. Well, it sounds like you've certainly done that, and we want to, again, congratulate you on your win at the Four Winds Invitational. And I think with an attitude, Cindy, like that, she's going to have a very promising career, and I'm sure we'll see her in the winner's circle many times. Thank you very much, Perrine, for joining us this morning on the Women of Golf Show. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day. Thanks for your time.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was our special guest, Perrine Delacour, from Paris, France, all the way over here to win the Four Winds Invitational on the Symetra Tour. Cindy, before we bring on Paul, I think we need to let the folks hear a little bit of what you have planned for them as far as some great speaking engagements. So why don't you set this clip?
Well, I've been very fortunate and have been asked to do an awful lot of engagements where I help business people learn how to use the game of golf as a tool to help them build their business. And I'm sure most of our listeners know that having access to people and being able to spend 4 hours on a golf course with them is really important.
Well said. Let's take a listen.
Hold the sneeze. Forgive me. Take a look. Listen.
Everyone knows business deals are made on the golf course. Knowing how to act is just as important as how you hit it. As an LPGA professional and corporate trainer, I offer workshops, seminars, and executive retreats to teach you how to do both. From the back nine to the boardroom, improve your team from the inside out, or Golf 101 for executives might be the perfect fit for your team. Maybe it's time to make some deals on the course. For more information, go to cindymillerinc.com.
All right, so for those of you tuning into the show, make sure you go and visit cindymillerinc.com after the show, and if you're interested in having Cindy do just that, you can reach out to her there, all of her contact information. Cindy, this next guest is actually I'm very, very familiar with, as I'm sure you are. Paul is one of the country's leading golf coaches. He's a Golf Channel Academy lead coach and was recognized by Golf Digest as one of the best teachers in New Jersey for 2017 and 2018. He was also honored by U.S. Kids Golf as one of 2017's top 50 kids teachers. He's a level 2 certified by Titleist Performance Institute, or TPI for short, Aimpoint, and K-Motion. And 15 of his junior clients have earned spots in the U.S. Kids Golf World Championships and Teen World Championships held annually at Pinehurst Resort. He serves on Foresight Sports Advisory Board and the New Jersey PGA's Junior Golf Committee. And he's also been a regular on my Golf Talk Live's Coach's Corner. So, Cindy, let's welcome our very special guest here on the second half, Paul Kaster.
Good morning.
Hi, Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Paul.
Hi, Ted.
I miss
How
you.
are you guys?
Well, we're doing well. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be with you and talk to two of my good friends. How is everything?
Everything's doing well. How about you, Chloe and Mama? Everybody okay?
Everybody's doing really well. Everybody's doing well. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ted.
Well said. So, Paul, I thought we would talk a little bit this morning, the three of us, about, obviously a lot of, especially we'll talk about more corporate types, but get out there and maybe play in a corporate event, or maybe even some of our club professionals that get in the club championship. There's a lot of things that they can do to help, tune up their game, if you will. And one of the things, obviously, is getting familiar with the course, even though you might have played on that particular course a number of times before. Really getting familiar with some of the ups and downs that you're going to be faced out there is very, very important. So when you're working with some of your students that are getting ready for whether it be a corporate event or, as I said, their club championship, or even a tournament of other sorts, what are some of the things that you do to try to help them get familiar with the course they're going to be playing?
Well, I think, these days we have access to a lot of great technology that allows us to not necessarily always have to go for a practice round. It's always a good thing to do that. And, I find that just kind of coaching clients about how to play a practice round and what to focus on. A lot of times, we have experiences and knowledge about these things that we kind of take for granted, like what to look for, what to focus on when you're out there playing in a practice round. A lot of us are better off just kind of coming up with a strategy rather than trying to shoot a score. And I think that, amateur players, a lot of times they'll go play a practice round and focus on what they shot in the practice round and not necessarily getting to know the golf course, which, sometimes those can be two different things or two different processes, So playing a practice round, but also you can use Google Maps. A lot of golf courses have great websites these days that have like flyovers and descriptions of holes and things that we can use just to kind of prepare ourselves so that we're not completely caught off guard and get maybe a different perspective on the golf course so that you can come up with a game plan or a strategy before you go play.
Right. Well said. And obviously having that strategy is smart. As you said, through technology and or even on-course play, getting familiar where everything is paramount. Would you say, Paul, that one of the problems that maybe a lot of amateurs have is instead of getting to know where some of the trouble is, that they focus on the trouble when they're playing and not really just being conscious of it, but actually get to the point where it actually paralyzes their play because they're worried about bunkers out in the fairway, or they're worried about maybe a water hazard that runs alongside the fairway or out of bounds, that they tend to spend too much time focusing on that and not really preparing a strategy or plan on how to navigate some of those dicey waters, if you will?
Yeah, I think that's probably more common with less experience or less, forgive me, but skilled players. I think, the better we get as golfers, the more we learn how to to tune those things out and focus on our goal or our target and less so on what the trouble is. But as a good player, we all know that there's trouble on the golf course. You're playing an obstacle course, right? The golf course isn't your friend. We're out there
right.
to you're accepting a challenge, just to go out and play a round of golf. But I think good players know how to focus on high probability shots, where to aim, making sure that based on your knowledge of your ball flight that you're aiming at a pretty high percentage area of the hole, so that you're not taking risks that you don't need to take that might hurt your score. So I think less experienced players might see the trouble everywhere. I can remember that when I was younger.
Right.
And better players, after being able to trust your ball flight a little bit, you kind of know where you should be aiming, and you don't focus so much on the trouble.
Right, and it becomes more of a position and playing to your strengths. Just one final question, then Cindy, I'm going to turn it over to you to follow up with some of your questions. Obviously, optimally, it's there's a number of people out there that obviously maybe have a local golf professional or a teacher professional that they're working with. But for those that don't do that on a regular basis, is it a good idea, Paul, do you think, to maybe a few weeks out or maybe even a little sooner than that, to connect with your local professional or club professional and maybe get him to help you, him or her to help you with some of those issues that you mentioned?
100%. I think obviously it kind of depends on how you feel about your game, and if you are in good shape going into what you feel is a big event and you feel your golf swing's in a good place, you probably don't want to start working on a lot of technique. But there are little things that we can do to help improve our confidence and the way we play. And it always helps to have somebody take a look and give us a couple of things that kind of can be an anchor when you go out and play in a tournament. So, you don't want to overhaul your golf swing a month before a state amateur qualifier, but definitely getting some help and getting some reassurance can be really helpful.
Well, and also helping maybe to plan that strategy, as you said, the teacher professional, particularly if they're familiar with the course you're going to be playing, can maybe help you a little bit further in preparing that strategy, and not necessarily, as you said, overhauling a golf swing, but tightening up some of the areas that need to be and working on a game plan, if you will. Cindy, go ahead.
I'm going to shift states a little bit. Paul and I met at the U.S. Kids Level 2 certification program, and we both teach a lot of kids. So, Paul, I'm going to ask you, how do you handle parents that are too pushy and trying to instill their goals on their children?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I think in my business, I try to work with parents as much as I possibly can. I accept the fact that they're with their kids way more than I am, and oftentimes parents who are driven on behalf of their children, shall we say, don't have a ton of golf experience and don't really understand how difficult the game can be, and how variable it can be. And by that, I mean, like, the fact that you can shoot, 72 one day and 82 the next, and that there might not really be an explanation other than that's just golf, And so trying to help them understand that it's not for lack of effort. It's not because the child, didn't work hard enough the day before the tournament, that it just could be, the result of the game being kind of tough. Trying to have a friendly but also kind of authoritative role in the relationship to make sure that they understand that, through your experience, you have some knowledge and some things that they may not have, that that your experience in the game and that your experience as a coach or your experience as a player actually, might be larger than their experience with their child, that one person, right? So I think I don't know, all of that stuff plays a role, I think, for me.
I agree. Is there do you ever have like team meetings with parents and the children? Like when I'm doing a clinic and I have more than one child having the same issue, I'll call all the kids together and I'll say team meeting, and then I make the parents come over and listen as well. And some of the older kids who have a little more tournament experience, I'll ask them to share, if they had something happen on the golf course where they either, made a big mistake, and sometimes we'll even joke about, what's the highest score you've ever had on a hole and what happened. And then we, it's okay to laugh about it after the fact, but to learn, maybe I could have stopped myself from getting so mad and lashing away at the ball. Do you ever have like team meetings with parents and kids, or do you always teach private lessons?
Well, and so I have an indoor facility now, and it's geared much more toward kind of private lessons, but the parents are always present. I, in the past would definitely have team gatherings and share stuff like that, but I haven't done what you just said, which is kind of call a meeting to address a particular issue, which is, I think, a great thing to do and a really wonderful idea. A lot of times I would have a team meeting and do kind of an orientation and talk about my philosophy or what I was hoping to get out of a program with the parents present. But I really like your idea a lot, Cindy. Now I have, I tend to focus a lot on trying to help the parents and the children, get the most out of their practice time together and the process of trying to get better, because the parents are really with the kids so much, and I find it's really important to make sure that the things that are being said to the player, as they're developing, is really, really important.
Got it. Ted?
Paul, let me ask you, we'll keep on this theme about kids, but sort of apply some of the other questions that I had. Obviously, you want to help any of the kids that you're working with to be able to understand what their strengths are and be able to use and play to those strengths. So obviously some of the tools as a golf professional that we can use is helping them to assess and develop a good warm-up routine. Obviously helping them to understand things like speed of greens and knowing obviously their limitations. So what are some of the things that you do with some of the kids? And let's, take an example of whether they're a new students that you haven't worked with before, or even if they've played a little bit of golf and maybe worked with others but haven't quite gotten some of those things down. How do you help them develop some of those routines, if you will, in their warm-up, and understand things, how to really test the greens, understanding the speed of the greens, and putting all these nuts and bolts together, if you will, and then using them to develop strengths in their game that they can use out in the golf course?
Well, I think, are you talking about kind of a routine before you go play in a tournament, or just practice in general, Ted?
A little bit both, I think. I think really both. So take either one, whatever you feel like talking about.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think getting ready to play in a tournament, there's kind of we all have a process that may be a little bit different. Think about a player like Carlos Franco, who was around, played on the PGA Tour and the Champions Tour, and he was famous for not hitting a golf ball during his warm up and not really practicing a great deal, but he was successful. I think everybody needs to understand what their own process is for going out and functioning the best that they can on the golf course during a competition. Some of us tend to feel like extended, practice sessions before we play tend to get us a little bit too mechanical. And in that case, focusing on short game and putting and just kind of getting a feel for the surface, for the speed of the greens and getting used to those things can really be a better way to focus your time. But it takes some time and just some experience to kind of learn what works best for you. Generally, I think a lot of people would be better off giving themselves more time before you get to a tournament. Make sure that you leave yourself, probably at least an hour, if not more, to get there, get registered. Make sure that you're not feeling rushed, and that you have a chance to go, test, like you said, test the speed of the greens and figure out, well, if I'm going to make a stroke that's 5 or 6 inches long, how far does the ball roll on that stroke? If I make a stroke that's a foot long, how far does the ball roll on that stroke? And then you start to kind of see what the greens are rolling and how fast they might be. So I think it definitely is helpful to have kind of a set routine. And a lot of us tend to say, well, this is what you do. You get to the driving range, you spend 20 minutes, you go to the putting green, you spend 20 minutes, you chip for 10 minutes, and then you go out on the golf course, or whatever the order might be. But sometimes having it be that regimented doesn't work for everybody. Accepting that you might have your own way, starting with sort of like a process like that, but then being willing to kind of change it over time based on how you play and how you feel it's pretty important. It's good to be flexible.
Right, and I think you would probably agree that it's important too, to especially for some of the younger players out there that are just sort of starting out, to experiment a little bit as well, in their practice sessions. Don't be afraid to try something different. If you've been kind of doing it the same way and you're not getting the results that you're happy with, that it's okay to maybe make some changes. I don't mean just swing changes, but, again, maybe trying some specific drills that you haven't normally used on the golf course, as a student to do that and just experiment a little bit and find your way and create your own routine, as opposed to, watching somebody on TV and saying, okay, well, I want to copy or mimic them, because that may not be, serve you as best as it could. Another thing too, very quickly, and then I'll turn it back over to Cindy. We're all about statistics, I think, now in the game, and I'm not talking about swing speed or that sort of thing, or club head speed, but statistics on the golf course. Do you try to encourage some of the juniors that you're working with to sort of record their statistics, how many greens in regulation, that sort of thing, for future reference?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been using a stats program called Shot by Shot with students for a long time, and it's extremely valuable to keep track of your stats. But it's also really important to have some understanding of how your stats compare to what your goals are. If you're just keeping, greens in regulation, putts per green, fairways hit, things like that, which I find, a lot of players do, but you don't know how your numbers relate to, maybe a tour player, maybe a college player, maybe a 4 handicap, then the value of that information that you're keeping is kind of limited, right? So,
right.
I think, using a stats program like Shot by Shot, owned by Peter Sanders, who writes for Golf WRX. He's a great guy. I think in that program you're keeping track of proximity to the hole, and you're basically getting almost tour quality information for you, and allowing yourself you're able to compare your game, your results to people who you can kind of set a target, and say, I want to see how I compare to a 4 handicap or to an 8 handicap if I'm a 15, and you can really compare, where you are and actually assign a handicap to each of your skills. So it's very, very important because, most of us don't really know how good we are at certain things. And, at the different areas of skill that we need in golf: chipping, putting, short game, bunker shots, driving the golf ball. And once you start to get real information, you can actually kind of tailor your practice and focus your instruction and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to, again, helping to develop a player's strengths in their game. Once they understand that, and by keeping those stats, they have a better understanding of what areas of their game that they're really good at and other areas that need improvement. So again, like you said, you can help custom tailor a better teaching program or coaching program, but it also gives them some very solid feedback as well as a student to be able to say, okay, I know I've got to work on these things here, and we can do some of it with my coach and some of it I'll know to do on my own. Some great answers there, Paul. Thank you. Cindy, go ahead.
I think, Paul, the other thing is our students can come back and, come in for their second or third or fourth lesson or whatever type of program they're on, and you can say, well, how have you been playing? And sometimes they'll get so emotional and, wow, I'm hitting it terrible, and well, how many fairways, how many greens, how many putts? I'm going to sneeze again. Excuse me.
What?
And I think that it's like a doctor. You go into the doctor and they say, well, we need to do some tests. So giving us the stats is like doing tests. If you missed 5 fairways, were they all left, or were they left and right? And if you missed 10 greens, were they short, long, left, or right? And so I think it's so important for our students to be accountable and to really face the truth of what they're doing in their game so that they can unemotionally tweak it, and it will better help us to help them, if that makes sense. Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, there's amazing technology coming along now when it comes to this stuff. Arcos is, an example. I'm on Cobra's staff. Arcos is built into, now basically comes standard in all of Cobra's clubs without any kind of upcharge. It's like a $250 system. But you can get all of that kind of information just by having your phone on and the app open in your pocket, and you start to see patterns. And one of the really important things for golfers to understand is that we all have patterns, and if you start to focus on your patterns objectively and unemotionally, like you said, Cindy, that's when you're going to start to experience some improvement. We all get emotional when we're playing golf. If you're playing well, you can become too aggressive. If you're not playing well, you can become too defensive. People get angry. You make bad decisions just because you're not seeing things clearly. And then it's really hard to kind of look back on a round or a tournament and be objective about what actually happened, what were my misses, what were my patterns. But when you have this data and it's like black and white, and it says, I missed 5 tee shots and they were all on the left side of the hole, then you can kind of look back and think about, well, what were the swing issues that were causing the ball flight problems that caused me to get sidetracked and upset, and we all tend to focus on the things in our practice that make us feel good. I was a good ball striker growing up. I loved hitting balls. I probably didn't focus enough of my time on some of the other things that that might have helped me a little bit more. And I, over time, using these programs, using stats, can really benefit your practice and start to help you see things a little bit more objectively.
Awesome.
Well said. Any further questions or comments, Cindy, that you want to make before we let Paul go?
No, I'm good. I'm so glad he was able to join us today. Thank you, Paul.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Paul. Well, thank you for your insight and not a problem. And Paul, why don't you just take a moment or two to let the folks know that are tuning in this morning, best way that they can reach out to you if they're interested in working with you or maybe getting more information about what it is that you offer. Now's the opportunity. You can do that. Share that with the audience.
Best way to reach me is probably through my website, which is paulkastergolf.com. I also have accounts on Instagram and Twitter. My Instagram handle is Paul Kaster Golf. Twitter is Paul Kaster. I'm on Facebook as well. I'm about an hour south of New York City, right next to Red Bank on the Jersey Shore. And it'd be great to meet anybody who wants to make the trip or perhaps even do a remote session. I do those as well. So thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. And it's great to talk to you as always.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
We appreciate it, Paul. Thanks, and I'll see you next time on the Coach's Corner panel. Always a great contributor there as well, and we appreciate you sharing your thoughts and insight this morning on the Women of Golf. So have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Sounds good. You guys have a great week, too.
Bye-bye.
All right, it was Paul Kaster, Paul Kaster Golf Coaching. Great guy, Cindy. He's as I mentioned, he's been on the other program that I do, Golf Talk Live, and particularly on the Coach's Corner panel. He's been a guest as well, but and just a very laid back, kind of easygoing, but very, very smart, knows his stuff. And you obviously had the opportunity to meet with him, you said, at a certification course?
Yeah, at the U.S. Kids Golf Level 2 certification. He's a great guy.
Yeah, very, very good. And he shared a lot of really interesting insight, into working with juniors. That was some great questions, Cindy, that you asked him. A lot of people out there, and really this is not just for our fellow coaches and teaching professionals that maybe work with some juniors, but also for the parents that might be listening in as well. We want you certainly to be involved and active in that program, but sometimes you got to learn to know when to step back and let the instructor sort of take the handle, if you will, of your children. They're obviously very well trained, and especially if they're been U.S. Kids Golf certified, they know how to handle the kids and how to get the best out of them and help share their experience. And really it bottles down to this, Cindy, is we want, regardless of whether it's junior golfers or adult golfers, we want them to have fun. And if they're stressed out and concerned about performance issues, whether it be with in front of parents or in front of their fellow players, they're not going to enjoy the experience, and we certainly want them to do that. So great discussion. As always, Cindy, welcome back. Glad to have you here, and I know you're off to spin some more plates this week, so take it easy, relax a little bit. You've done a lot over the last week, and it's time to rest a little bit too.
Agree. Will do.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining Cindy Miller and I'm Ted Odorico here on the Women of Golf Show. God bless everybody, and we'll see you next week here on the Women of Golf. Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks, Ted. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening this morning to the Women of Golf Show. Tune in live each week by visiting blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf or on any of these social media platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, CastBox, TalkStream Live, and of course Spotify. If you can't join us live, check out our on-demand section for previously aired broadcasts. To get updates for future shows and upcoming guests, you can follow us on Facebook at Women of Golf. You can also follow me on Twitter at @TedandBuckCEO and Cindy at Cindy Miller Golf. Please remember to join us next week on the Women of Golf Show. See you next time. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.